Well, I was just an ordinary bloke in a matrix, really. I was living in New Jersey, working in New York at the time, and I was doing what everybody else was doing, working, making money, having a holiday for 2 weeks of the year, all that stuff. And then 9/11 happened, and everything changed.
Why would they jump? They're trying to keep it out. You can't get out of them.
Well, it didn't change for me immediately. I went back to work and just carried on as normal. But it wasn't until about 2004, about 3 or 4 years later, that I was helping my daughter with her physics homework, and I worked out that it couldn't have happened the way they said it happened. And the shock of that basically just led me into what's turned out to be a 22-year search for the truth. And it's led me down many, many different rabbit holes. And each one basically more shocking than the last. And I thought when I found the flat Earth, that was the ultimate truth. But as I was researching the flat Earth, I realised that there was an even deeper truth, which was history, human history, and the Old Testament. And again, delving into that, I thought that was the ultimate truth. But then I started to realise that the powers that we have, the who we are, is the even deeper truth. So the cannabis journeys, well, I would, being a good boy, I would always, avoid, drugs. But I got fascinated with this idea of psychedelics that somehow expand your consciousness, allow you to see things that you wouldn't normally see in everyday life. But the only problem was that psychedelics didn't seem to work on me. I was going to call myself drug-resistant Dave at one point, but I tried acid and nothing happened. I got a double dose of it and still nothing happened. Same with Salvia divinorum, a double dose of that and nothing happened. I tried DMT. Well, actually, I tried mushrooms first, psilocybin, and I got some visions, some visuals. It was the flower of life on a blank wall, and writing that was scrolling on the bottom of my consciousness. So I just saw this strange writing, which turned out to be Paleo-Hebrew. Same thing with DMT, wavy lines and the strange writing, but nothing substantial. I even tried ayahuasca, and with ayahuasca I literally blanked out for 6 hours. Apparently I had some experiences, but I don't remember any of it, nothing from that experience. So no, my foray into psychedelics was rather unsuccessful. But I found that cannabis did affect me. Every time I tried cannabis, and not smoking it, actually eating it, every time I tried cannabis, I got taught something. It would teach me something about the world which I didn't know before. So in that respect, it was quite mind expanding. I think I had about 8 different experiences, and the final one, it basically told me not to do it anymore, which I ignored, and I just did it again, and I found out why I shouldn't have done it. It wasn't telling me that I didn't need to do it anymore. It was basically warning me that more exposure to it would leave me open and vulnerable to, let's say, other entities. So, the first cannabis journey I embarked on was where I was given cannabis in a bong. So yeah, in that case I did smoke it. And what I experienced was immediately all the colours in the room, or one particular colour in the room, just popped out at me. I didn't realise the walls were painted this vibrant blue that just was so shocking. It was so intense. And I remarked on it at to the host at the party. But then I became aware that I could listen to and follow 6 different separate conversations in the room at once. I knew what everyone was saying. It was like startling. I tested it as well, and indeed I knew what everyone was saying. And then a thought went across my mind. I wonder if everyone else is doing this. And the moment I had that thought, I got a flood of information. I had an experiment that I could perform to test that idea. I had the results of that experiment. I had the implications of the results of that experiment. I had a talk that I could do based on that experiment. And literally all this information, instantly, the moment the thought flitted across my mind, right, just all in one package. And all I had to do then was actually just step through time and perform the experiment, knowing exactly what was going to happen. And indeed, everything that I thought would happen actually happened. So yes, it was. I believe now is a glimpse of how living in a realm without time might be, again from the perspective of somebody who actually lives in a time-space, realm. But that idea that as soon as I had, I conceived of an idea, the whole thing existed, and I could see it and experience it. So the third cannabis journey was when I tried cannabis oil for the first time. It was only a little dab on the end of a matchstick, and for about an hour or so, nothing happened. So I'd written off the experience, just wasn't going to work for me again. But I was being driven home, and on the way back, I started feeling the thing coming on, and I told the driver, things might get a little weird. And as she turned to me, it was like her head was huge and her nose nearly hit me in the face. I was like, whoa! And everything just became exaggerated. I think we pulled over at one point and it felt like we crashed. But I'd calmed myself down, and as I was looking out the windscreen, all of a sudden everything blacked out, and then it came back, and it blacked out again, and it came back, and it kept doing that at a faster and faster rate, and until it was just flickering, and then it transitioned into smooth movement. What it told me was that was what reality was. It was like a series of 3D frames, like 3D dioramas, and in one instant there was one diorama, it would then collapse into nothingness, and an almost identical diorama would be presented to me, just slightly moved, as if it was like a 3D film strip. So that was shocking. The next cannabis journey I had was maybe the fifth or sixth, was when I was working on a free energy device with a whole group of engineers. And one day we were quite close to finishing, and during a break, I was speaking to a group of the ladies that were part of the group, and they said that they were going to go on top of the hill and smoke some weed later on. So I had a bit of cannabis oil left, and I thought, well, I know it takes about an hour or so to kick in, so if I take a bit of oil now, by the time everyone was ready to go on top of the hill, then it would start kicking in. So that's what I did. So took some oil and went back to work with the rest of the engineers, and we were getting so close to finishing that somebody said, let's just carry on and see if we can finish this tonight. I thought, oh shit, hopefully this wouldn't start kicking in until we finished. Unfortunately, it started kicking in, and what happened to me was I saw a sequence of events play out over and over again. So the events were that we were ready to start the machine. So one of the engineers, Tivon, was on the dial, and he turned it up to its supposedly maximum rated speed, and nothing was happening. And one of the other engineers, Evans, was like, faster, faster. So Tivon turned it up faster than it ever should go, and the wheel basically glowed red and then white and exploded, and then the whole thing reset. And this time I was a few feet to the right, and the whole thing started again. Tivon started turning it up, Evans went faster, faster, whole thing exploded, and this time everyone was killed apart from me, who was badly injured. Then it reset again, and I was literally in line with the machine. So when it exploded, everyone was killed apart from me, and I was uninjured. Then it reset again, and by this time it was like too much for me. I'd seen 3 explosions already, and I was like, no, got to get out of here. Then the cannabis spoke to me and said, "You're afraid of death, aren't you, Dave?" And I was like, "No, I'm not, no." So it said, "Choose the explosion then." So I went back into the room, and the whole sequence started again. But this time a little child from part of the group came in and stood in front of me. And the cannabis was like, "What about now? This child's going to die." I thought, well, everyone's going to die in this scenario, so okay. And then my girlfriend came in, and it said, "What about now?" And it just kept raising the stakes until I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. So the cannabis said, "Okay, well, choose a past and choose a future." And it felt like I was on this spot where what I'd call the now, and there was a tree of paths sort of branching out from that point. and a tree branching out behind me as well. And I could go down any of these future paths and see what would transpire, and it would start fading out. And I could do the same with the past as well. And one of the futures, I think it was one of the pasts, was when Evan said faster, faster. I threw my camera at him to try and stop it. But point is, I didn't know which part. When I came out of it, I didn't know which future or past I'd chosen. I had to actually ask my girlfriend at the time what actually happened, because I'd seen so many permutations. So what actually happened was that, or the past and future I chose was that the free energy device burnt itself out, and that's what actually happened. So the 8th cannabis journey was when I had a little bit too much cannabis oil for this one, and what I experienced was reality breaking apart in front of me, and I was being pushed into this alternate reality, which looked like the wire-framed version of this reality. So if there was a chair in front of me, as reality broke apart, I saw the wireframe mesh as if the chair was not rendered yet. And it looked more real than this reality. But I mistakenly characterized this reality as the inferior version of this reality. But I've come to realize now that it was actually the superior version. I believe it was what I would now call the 4th dimension. It was where the ideas of what we call reality, began. So everything in this world begins as an idea, and that realm that I experienced was where those ideas come from. So each of these cannabis journeys gave me a nugget of information, easily digestible nugget of information that I was able to assimilate, and then I was ready for the next one. Sometimes it literally took years for me to actually assimilate the full depth of what it was trying to teach me. But eventually they all came together like a jigsaw puzzle and gave me this grand idea. But it's not like new knowledge. It was new to me, but it's not new knowledge. It's old knowledge. It's also knowledge of something that we all intuitively know, but we've forgotten. So we're on our way to Bournemouth to give the first ever talk. Well, actually, it's not technically the first ever version of this talk. I gave this talk once before, also in Bournemouth, as it turns out. But every time I give a talk, it's different, because in between I get new information, not necessarily from a book or anything like that. Usually some kind of download or synchronicity. It turns out there are two distinct ways of knowing something. There's a real way and a fake way. The fake way is where you get 2 or 3 bits of information and they're linked together by a story. That's the kind of logical way of knowing something. But the real way of knowing something is knowing something without knowing how you know it. Intuition. And intuition, is this deep knowing, deep sort of knowing that you can feel that is the right thing.
So yeah, this is the sort of information. This is the information I've been getting, and it's just made the talk. It's actually transformed the talk into something else. It's like an understanding of even how the Most High came about. Let's get into that when I get into the talk. Hello, this is Dave. So what you've just seen is the intro to my latest project, which is a documentary. I'm trying to put together a documentary which is based on my latest talk. It's my favourite of all time talk to give, and I think it's actually the most important talk I've ever given, because it shows that we have the power. We have an immense amount of power in this world that we've forgotten about. You know, it's not just that we've forgotten about; it's the memory of that power has been erased from us, and we're struggling along, thinking that we are helpless in the face of this utter evil in the world. But no, we're not. If we manage to remember who we are, we can banish this evil. With no effort whatsoever. We can literally change this world around us. The only problem is that I'm kind of struggling a bit because I've lost internet access. I've got very little, it's restricted somehow, very little internet access, and I can't get to all the resources I need. I can't do the research I need to do. I can't download the media that I need to complete this. And I'm really struggling, and the project has now come to a halt. So I'm asking those that I've helped so far, all those people I've helped, if you wouldn't mind helping me to get this project back up and running, I'd really appreciate it. I was thinking that if you actually donated via PayPal, I know you can send a message and I'd get your email address. What I could do is when the documentary is finished, I could release it early to you, maybe a month or so early, so you can see it and download it and whatever. A lot of the information in this documentary, yes, you will find some of it in some of the videos or interviews that I've done recently. I think there's an early version of the talk out online, but I have found so much more information since then, so much more incredible information that's not in this talk online. Or if you've even been to my talk, again, I've found so much more. This information keeps coming to me, and I've literally I'm putting it all together in this documentary. So you won't find a lot of what's going to be in the documentary out online. So hopefully, if I get back online, I'll be able to finish it within 2 or 3 months and get it out there. So also, thanks to those people who noticed that I've kind of lost weight. I'm quite proud of it actually. I've only been at this for 5 weeks so far, and I've not lost nearly 10 kilograms and put on lots of muscle and everything. I've got to credit my fiance, but I've also got to credit the fact that I've been putting into practice the things that I'm going to put in this documentary. Literally, when I found out how this all works, I've been putting it into place, and lots of amazing things have happened, including my fiance. You know, that came about because of putting all this into practice, and yeah, my life has transformed, and it can do it for you too. It can do it for everybody. That's the point. You know, realizing that I'm very powerful in this world, but not that I'm above everybody else. Everybody else can do it too. All we have to do is remember, and actually just forget all the fear and the bullshit out there, right? And just remember who you are, and practice being who you are, right? And going your own way, and this world can change. So, in fact, myself and my fiance are going to dedicate a lot of our time to exploring these ideas and gaining mastery over our minds, which is the important thing. So hopefully, if you can help me out and get me back online. I'm just off to the cafe to upload this now, so thanks very much.